And welcome everybody to this Monday edition of Fat Guys on a Little Podcast. This is your host, co-host Steve Markin, always joined by
Charles is here.
And live via satellite from Chicago is William Vicious. Say hello, William Vicious.
Hello.
He always has that delay. Why we're late today, obviously, is because yesterday was a national holiday in the U.S.
At least at the Markey household.
For all our foreign listeners out there in Turkey and England. In the U.S., everything shuts down on a Sunday for the Super Bowl. Even though it probably shouldn't have, because it was a little bit of a turd sandwich.
It wasn't a little bit. It was a huge turd sandwich. You're being nice. It was awful.
So today we're going to get our final thoughts on the season, on the Super Bowl, what everyone thought, maybe some surprises we thought for the season, stuff like that, and get everyone's take. So obviously New England won, and people saw it. It was 13-3.
There was no offense of this vaunted Rams offense.
One touchdown, and the only highlight, it wasn't from Tom Brady, so that was at least nice. So, Bill, since you weren't here with us, what was your thoughts on the Super Bowl as a game?
Well, it looked a lot like watching Jets-Jags in the beginning of the season. It wasn't very good. I thought they were a little too – I mean, the defensive game plans were nice, but I think they were being a little bit overboard on how much of a defensive struggle it was. It was just bad offense.
That's what I think it was. I think it was bad offense. I think it was just anemic. I mean, look at like the Rams. They had like 8 punts in a row or something crazy stat where they averaged 4 plays a drive.
The highlight of their offense was the record-breaking punt they had from their own end zone in the third quarter, I think.
Which rolled like 25 of the 65 yards.
My one takeaway from it is they weren't calling pass interference. It seemed like there was a lot of chances they could have. In the regular season, I've seen lesser things that were happening in that game get called for pass interference that didn't get called yesterday. I thought they were being very lenient on the pass interference calls.
Do you think it was like a makeup thing? Do you think it was like the NFL's making up for a botched NFC Championship game?
Possible, maybe, or they just said, let them play, or, just call the obvious penalties, maybe. I don't know.
It was weird. It was like a 180 from one week to the next.
Yeah, there was a few times where Rams receivers were being tackled before that. I'm like, wow, really? Not that I cared. Yeah. and the other way, too. The Rams were doing it to the Patriot receivers as well. So did you catch any of that, Bill? Did you notice that or no?
Yeah, it seemed like they just, for the most part, they just swallowed the whistles. It kind of reminded me of the old school NBA playoffs.
Or like
where suddenly, you had to basically kill someone to get a foul. And,
yeah.
I thought of like Stanley Cup too. You know how like in the NHL they just stop calling penalties after the second round.
It was kind of a little lax there. That surprised me. And then of course one of the big things that go along with the Super Bowl is the commercials. I told Charles last night I really wanted to see a lot more movie trailers. It didn't seem to be that many during Super Bowl. Usually they pump out a ton of them for all the, especially.
I was thinking about that back. Like what big trailers premiered during the Super Bowl? I think you're reading way into that.
No, last year I can't remember off the top of my head.
I'm just saying.
But every year you got 5 or 6 movie trailers.
I think the commercials lack year to year now. I think they're getting worse. I think they actually outpriced you get the exposure to it, but these companies are trying to like deliver a message more than they are just trying to be memorable, in my opinion.
Yeah, a lot of them try to be political here and there. And
it's not good. I think the Super Bowl, like as far as like all the other spectator stuff, I think we've had good games recently, but as far as like the spectacle of the Super Bowl, I think it's gotten a little overblown, is my 2 cents.
What were your thoughts on the commercials, Bill?
Yeah, it's getting progressively worse year by year, and have advertising agencies just completely stopped using humor in commercials anymore?
It seems it.
Yeah, it's like big time message driven.
Even Bud Light wasn't funny.
Yeah.
I thought the corn syrup one was weird that they had attacked the other two,
and they kind of drove it home with like 6 commercials on.
Well, now they're in like a Twitter war with the corn industry. Like it's a whole thing. Like I was reading some articles today.
Corn industry.
Yeah, where somehow like they're going crazy on the corn industry. It's really weird.
Yeah, and so I had a couple favorites that we did. There was some we did enjoy, but most, like 90% were terrible. But there were a few. And Charles, you want to tell the first one you liked?
Yeah, so the best one to me was that Mint Wireless with the chunky milk.
Yeah,
I thought that was hilarious.
That was a good one.
That was one of the funniest ones. To BV's point, it was old school humor on it.
They were chewing the milk. It was so gross.
It was really funny. I thought that was for me, was my commercial of the Super Bowl. Now, one that we saw before in that pregame area that I thought was really cool, and you had seen it previous to it, was the Walmart with all the movie cars. I thought was really kind of cool, where they were driving home the car pickup stuff.
The only thing sucks about that, they've been showing that commercial about a month. I'm surprised you haven't caught it.
That was the first time I'd seen it.
When I first saw it, I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
And then when you saw it at the Super Bowl, you're like, whoa, yeah, it is cool when I saw it a month ago.
It's weird. It shows you how much live TV I watch anymore. I just don't watch it.
Now, the one Bud Light one I did like that I kind of caught me out of nowhere was the mix with the Game of Thrones one. When the mountain showed up out of nowhere in a Bud Light commercial. It's like, what was that?
Game of Thrones commercial.
Yeah, it was a cross promotion between the two. And I thought that was kind of cool because you weren't expecting it.
Yeah, I didn't know it was going to slant so hard to Game of Thrones. It was kind of cool.
But anything, Bill, is there any commercials stood out for you, or did we pretty much cover them?
Yeah, I mean, I do tend to just like the humorous ones. I did like the Amazon commercial with Harrison Ford and his dog that kept ordering more dog food.
Yeah, I saw that after the Super Bowl, though. I didn't see it during. Did I miss it during?
It was on during the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I must have missed it.
It's pretty funny.
They played it a crap load afterwards.
Yeah.
They had one, too, that I think was a T-Mobile commercial that just kind of reminded me of stuff that people we know would do, where the whole, he's like, Dad, this isn't Google.
Oh, yeah.
He's trying to get the chicken parma.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad, but it was followed by 6 other commercials of the same thing with the texting. It was like the dad one was funny about the Google and the Parmesan commercial.
I don't know.
Recipe.
What did you guys think of the halftime? I thought the halftime was completely non-memorable and just kind of lame.
Yeah, lame. I don't mind Maroon 5.
A lot of people are coming out like, I don't have an issue with Maroon 5. I just think that at this point, the halftime is so weird. And it's just
they could just go to the crew and just talk about the first half and then just go back.
There's a bunch of housewives that watch just the Super Bowl who want to see Adam Levine.
Oh, I don't know. I don't get it. I never understood the hype behind it. I guess everyone really loves when Prince did it in that Rain one. But other than that, I can't. Who cares?
That's what it's just. It's like saccharine and just kind of like lame.
I don't like when they do it on Thanksgiving too. The Thanksgiving games, they try to weasel in a musical.
I don't like when
act.
they do the pregame with Tim McGraw and all this kind of stuff. I don't like any of it.
Yeah, the only thing I kind of like, and they don't show it very often, is like the college bands when they do something like the Ohio State band does something.
Well,
cool.
now the big thing is to put that online. So like even like the Notre Dame game, you can go to their website and watch the band.
I don't mind that. I'd rather see that than rehashed former football players tell me what I already know about the first half. Nobody scored. There's a lot of punting. Thanks. All right, great. Why do I need to know this?
BV, did you watch halftime?
I saw part of it. I took the dog out, so I missed some of it. But the only thing, I mean, it was just, it wasn't very memorable. I mean, it was just a basic little medley performance. The only thing is how many layers of clothing did Adam Levine have when he went on stage? Like 15? It was like stripped songs. Every time they switched to a different song, he stripped something else off.
Well, that's the thing people are freaking out about right now is because Adam Levine took it all the way down to bare chest, and everyone's saying it's a sexual double standard because you railed against the Janet Jackson stuff, and now here's Adam Levine.
Man nipples are not allowed now?
No, man, I'm just saying.
Not that you could see him anyway with all the tats, so.
Yeah, Steve was remarking on how tatted up Adam Levine was.
So the bad shark on the one side, a butterfly on the other, and then like the Tupac California across his gut. It's like, what is this? When did he become a former MMA fighter? It's like, what is this?
He fights in Bellator. It's really good.
I do have a complaint, and this is my rant for the week, and I'll do it afterwards about this halftime and the controversy swarming around it. We'll do that at the end, but
they did. The one thing we picked up on it, and we were all joking with each other, how many times they blanked out old boy who was swearing like crazy. Apparently,
now I found out that the SpongeBob thing was internet driven. They were like, I guess there was a big petition to have SpongeBob perform at the halftime instead of Maroon 5.
So that was all just like a wink and a nod thing?
That's what that was. That's why you saw SpongeBob.
What it was.
Yeah, there was a big, huge petition, like 300,000 people signed it because the SpongeBob creator died last year. They wanted something SpongeBob based at the halftime.
If they would have addressed that, I think it would have been. You would have been like, oh, and with a special appearance by SpongeBob or something.
Yeah.
They didn't do any of it. It just was weird. And
it just popped in.
Yeah,
it was quite unique. And now Big Boy from Outkast sang, and he has a brand new song that I kind of like, and I'm surprised he didn't do that one. He just did his old Outkast song without Andre 95,000 or whatever the hell that dude's name is.
He's big in Hotlanta, man.
Yeah, I know, but you think he would have promoted his new song, not some song he did 20 years ago.
Yeah, but then people get pissed when people come out and do the new stuff. Stick to the hits.
People want hits only when they in these halftime shows.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. The whole halftime thing, it's not going to go away, but it is. This year was the weirdest year for it. I don't know, with the weird backlash, and it was a weird time, you know?
Yeah, I mean, why don't they just do it like they do it with the college bands? You want to see the halftime, stream it live. You can go online and see the halftime, and then just talk to Bill Cowher for 20 minutes and go back to the game.
They can't monetize that.
Yeah, I guess you got a point.
You know what I
money
mean? Like, they got the Pepsi halftime show in Atlanta.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's funny too. It's a world of Coke and it's a Pepsi halftime show.
Yeah.
So, also that comes along with the Super Bowl is squares. Bill, did you play any squares this year?
No squares.
I unfortunately got roped in, and I bought like 10 of them, $5. Not a lot. I spent probably. Well, I won the bowl pool with Bert, so most of my money was spent from that. So I only out of pocket. I was out $60. Didn't win a damn thing. Bert allegedly hit 2 squares because he had 3 and 3, and some square he had somewhere. You think Bert and Joe ever had a lot of square? Or Joe? Bert has like a stack by the time that rolls around. I think he's literally in debt $5,000 before the Super Bowl happens.
You win 150, but you get $200.
Yeah. You know, it's a typical gambler. He'll tell you he won the squares, but not how much he paid for all those squares beforehand.
Yeah, the whole thing's just kind of weird.
So now all us old fat married men, and we have no football now, we have to do family things. But before that, let's recap the 2018 season, and let's go over. Was there some surprises that you saw this year that stick out to you and make you think about it for the past year? Charles, did you have anything?
The biggest one was my prediction previous to the year, where BV railed against me. The Cleveland Browns are turning it around, and BV can call me out on that all he wants to, but it definitely looks like they're on an uptick, and it looks like my squad is chaos. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, your squad does have drama for no apparent reason.
It's completely.
I don't understand what's happening with the Steelers right now, to be honest with you.
It's not that it's been happening for a few years. Like, Antonio Brown's a diva. You know what I mean? Like, and if he doesn't get the ball, they're saying like his whole meltdown happened because he didn't get like team MVP because it went to Smith-Schuster as opposed to him, and that's when a whole meltdown happened.
What is he, 5?
I'm telling you, he's a diva, dude.
He didn't get sprinkles, and the other guy
dude,
did?
I'm telling you, it's crazy.
Oh,
it's
my
a whole
God, that's
thing.
insane. If that's true, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Bill, what did you think of the past season and thoughts on 2018?
I think I'm just getting old because the style of play to me is getting close to being unwatchable.
Wow.
You have a lot of really, really bad teams. Offenses. The ironic kind of, we were talking earlier about how the refs suddenly just kind of swallowed their whistles and call pass interference because it's the one game, offenses could have really used help. Any other time, I mean, they're anything they can possibly do to take defense out of it. Charles, yes, you're right. You were right about the Browns. They were better than expected. Mayfield appears to be the real deal.
Have you seen that greasy beard Mayfield has right now?
No.
Oh,
he's got a big macho beard.
Yeah, he's got an Al-Qaeda beard.
Yeah. Oh, man.
He's in that. That was the other commercial from the Super Bowl I did enjoy, the 100 Years of NFL, where that giant game broke out in the middle of that banquet hall.
Was that a commercial?
I don't know what it was, but it was pretty. It was entertaining. It looked fun. I want to jump through a table. But he was sitting there with that big beard, and Tom Brady gave him all his rings to hold while he went and played.
Yeah, the only thing I could take from is put Patrick Mahomes in the Hall of Fame now.
Oh yeah, they love
laser
him so
rocket
much.
arm is he's 1 year as a starter, NFL MVP. Just
2018.
give him the bus now.
There's definitely two people that stick out in my mind that everyone blew or hyped up way more than they should. One, Bill's absolutely right, Patrick Mahomes. The other one is the coach for the Rams. You know how many times we heard that he's young, talented, and an offensive genius, and he got 3 points. The old man in the sweatshirt got owned.
I will tell you, like, in Losing Grace, he did say he got out-coached. I like that.
And it's not him that's making me hate him. It's all the people. And it's probably not, Patrick Mahomes is a good player, too, but you got to hear about Rocket Arm one more time. Yeah. So young, genius, and Rocket Arm all year long. Now, my one surprise I did have, I'm going to go hometown on this one a little bit. That opening week, Monday Night Football in Detroit, when they just collapsed.
Got the doors blown off.
They even picked six the first play of the game. So you're like, all right, the Lions. And then they just got destroyed.
They were a flat line
by
all
the
year.
Jets of all teams. That was probably the biggest surprise for me. I mean, I know the Lions suck, and they could have lost 24-21, but it was like, what was it, 42-14 right out the gate?
Yeah.
I was
but
like,
then they
oh
turn
my
around
God.
and they beat the Patriots.
Yeah,
so
2 weeks later they beat the Patriots.
It's the weirdest ADD type of football.
Yeah, so the Lions really gave me a surprise this year.
BV's out of Chicago, and we talked to him before. Is there a lot of hype still surrounding that team, or did the big loss kind of take the air out of the football?
Well, it took the air out of it a little bit, and of course now with baseball getting ready to start, now everything's kind of transitioned to the Cubs.
Everything's
and I think that the way some of them talk, Cody Parkey might as well be Scott Norwood missing it, because he hit like 4 or 5
goalposts,
crossbars and uprights.
It wasn't like 2 or 3 of them against the Lions of all teams.
Yeah,
I think it was. He had like 2 or 3 in one game, and then that one. So there's our surprises. Now, any letdowns? People, I guess you can go with the Lions, but they're always a letdown. Any letdowns you think of, Charles? Besides your team?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I don't want to keep bringing it back to it, but like it was a whole thing where like they had to win late in the year, and then they were just a train wreck. So I'm hard pressed to look elsewhere because I love the team, but it's like it's super annoying.
Yeah, I understand.
One of the things, and again, I obsess on that division because of who I'm a fan of. But like, what's going on in Baltimore? Like, you got Joe Flacco sitting on the bench.
Oh, I didn't understand that at all.
What is that? Like,
and
BB got any insight on that?
Yeah.
I don't think he'll be there next year.
Yeah, that's obvious. But who's going to pay for him?
I think they're gonna let him go.
I mean, so how many teams are going to take these like high name like quarterbacks that are allegedly going to be dipped? What's going on in Philly? Like, so they're saying that they're going to do something with Foles, like a transition tag or something.
Yeah, he's going to want a lot of money, so they're trying to figure out what to do with him. And then there's rumor he said he may not even want to play anymore or something. I don't know. It's all.
I really think Carson Wentz could be the future in Philadelphia if they actually, if you get them healthy and get it, what I mean.
Problem is staying healthy with that guy.
Yeah, but I don't know.
In a league where you can't even hit the quarterback, that guy can't stay healthy. So I don't know. I don't know about that.
Foles has proven over his career though too that he can play in spurts, but he's not going to be.
Yeah.
Any team that's going, because if they franchise him and then try to trade him, they're going to pay whoever takes him is going to have to pay him probably 25 plus a year.
Yeah.
Or for the year to do it. He's it's not like he's a new sensation. He's proven that over the long haul, he's just an average quarterback.
But for some reason can pull it through. It's the weirdest.
He's like Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick will have a 3 or 4 game span where
you're just like, wait a minute.
Yeah, this guy with the beard's awesome.
What is this?
And then he'll throw 17 picks in one game. There's Fitzpatrick. I forgot about him.
I remember that.
Yeah, so
he was Fitzmagic for like a quarter of the
and he's done it with the Bills. He's done it with the Jets. Fitzpatrick's good for about 4 games. They give him a contract that he just sucks.
It's a weird thing. You know what I mean? Like, so then what is the BV way too early prediction for like the next season? Like,
the Patriots' downfall. He predicts it every year.
Give me that.
I stopped that a couple years ago because I just kept getting I'm not predicting any downfall for the Patriots ever again until they actually all retire. When Brady and Belichick retires, there'll be a drop off.
Now, hold on? Let me interrupt you. Do you think he's gonna retire? You think he's gonna go out on top? You think he's gonna walk away?
Who?
Brady and Belichick, either one of them.
Brady was already. They asked him. He said that there is a 100% or 0% chance he'll retire.
Wow.
He is definitely coming back. He apparently does intend to play till he's 45.
Jeez.
I think Belichick will let it ride out until he'll get as much out of it as he can, and then I think he'll consider walking away. But
and then Gronk is gone. Are we under that impression, or did he say something too? I haven't seen that.
He doesn't know yet.
Bulging disc and stuff. He better retire.
We found out he was 29. We looked that up yesterday.
Someone online said he can just make bad karate movies for Netflix. Chopsaki movies. I'd actually watch
There's some
that.
speculation he's going to try to go into wrestling.
Oh, wow.
But with his body, I don't
he ain't gonna
understand
make
why that
wrestling.
would make
He's
any
gonna fall
sense.
apart.
But
Yeah, just do action movies with The Rock. Gronk and The Rock. It'll make $1 billion.
Gronk Johnson.
Rock's proved you don't have to be in a good movie. just throw some things around, make some explosions.
So anyway, back to your way too early prediction, BB. What do you got?
The team that comes from the NFC to the Super Bowl this year will not be the Rams or the Saints, or Chicago. So like the 3 top teams, neither one of them will be the team that goes to the Super Bowl next year.
Is it going to be a surprising, terrible team that rights the ship? What's your way too early prediction for that?
I'm not sure who it'll be, but
you don't think that these teams are repeating, is what you're saying? You're going to
no, I think there's too many flaws on because Breeze is also old, and that offense in chunks started to slow down. The defense kind of had a good year this year, but that tends to only be a 1-year thing for them. I think the Rams
are going to lose people. They got to deal with a bunch of contracts.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, and they're also kind of. I mean, you want to talk about the blueprint, right? I mean, apparently, if you can slow down the running game, I mean, Goff cannot drop back and beat you throwing the ball. Just
shocker.
Without play action.
And BB, I think Gurley's hurt. I really do. They're not coming out and saying it. The whole weird.
Does he want
end
more
of his
money?
Year, like, what is that, BB? You got any theory?
No, it has to be. Otherwise, McVay, I mean, you can set everything aside about genius because C.J. Anderson did almost nothing.
Yeah.
Gurley. The thing is when he's on the field, he didn't look hurt. Like they came out the first beginning of the second half and started running the ball. He had a couple of really nice runs, and then they just took him off the field.
It was so sporadic, though. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, there was something weird there.
Yeah, I think there's more to it. I think he had a deeper injury that they're not disclosing.
Does he want money? Maybe it's money.
Well, but you're really going to start. You're going to hold out in the playoffs. He'll get his money. I mean, I think didn't he just get a big contract?
Yeah, he did. I
don't know.
Yeah, no,
weird. I don't know. I didn't get that.
They kept talking about his knee. You know, the knee that he tore in college.
It's bugging him.
Being real. You know, having issues with swelling and. I mean, maybe he's just, a
fragile bitch.
Maybe he's just not going to last very long. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Yeah. So you think a different change in the NFC. Do you think someone from the AFC is going to come marching back? Do you like Kansas City to stay on top still?
I like Kansas City to be 13-3 or better and losing the playoffs.
The Andy Reid formula.
Until they prove otherwise, that's kind of what they. At this point, I mean, because New England was not the best team in football for any point of this year until the last 2 or 3 games. Until the playoffs, they were an average or above average team, but they were never great.
They lost the Lions and Miami. It's not like they were that great.
Yeah.
You got 2 weeks to scheme, and then we give him 2 weeks.
But that's the whole argument why they always call Brady Belichick the GOAT and all this kind of stuff, too. They win when it matters and all this shit.
They just cruise through that week's conference they have all year. And
Steve, you got any big predictions for 2019?
I don't have predictions, but I'd like to see what Cam Newton does next year. I think both of those, him and his coach, are on their final years.
Okay.
And depending on how he plays, the coach will probably get fired if they don't make the playoffs.
You think so?
Yeah, they're surprised they didn't fire him this year. Everyone was like,
really?
They didn't fire him? Yeah. And then
they were hyped on him for, you know what I mean? Like Ron Rivera was like this golden boy and all this stuff.
Yeah, well, that was a while ago, and they've been back to, and Scam hasn't looked right in 2 or 3 years, so it could be. So I'd like to see what's going to happen there. And then the NFC South, it always has a habit of the worst team turning to first team, and that was the Bucs. So are the Bucs going to turn it around next year? Wow. That could be interesting. They got the new coach from Arizona, who I really like that guy, Bruce Arians. So it could be interesting there. Nice surprise that I didn't cover in surprises was the Colts. I forgot about the Colts.
And that's what was going to
be.
They
were a big surprise this year too.
Fundamental football, like you stack up your line and you start to, you know what I mean. Yeah. If Andrew Luck can stay healthy,
and the other team that I feel is getting like the KC kind of rep, where they look okay during the season but then suck in the playoffs, is the Houston Texans. And I hate Mr. Man of the Year, J.J. Watt. He'll make 5 games and be injured. And the big prediction is, what are the Lions going to do, really? 8-8 again? Is that what we're looking at again? Pretty much, unless they do something drastic in the offseason, which doesn't seem like they are. So that's my takes on things. And I'd like to see the Falcons turn around. They were my big disappointment of this year.
Yeah,
what was that?
So you got
all that offense.
Of talent.
Yeah, couldn't do anything. What was that? I don't know what happened there. You got 37 receivers. I know what happened. They just started flinging it everywhere and got away from the run, but that's beside the point. So there you go. We're looking at the NFL this past year. It ended with a whimper with the 2 great championship games, and then the Super Bowl was just terrible. And by the way, can we put the rest, this stupid no call about the Saints? Yeah, it kind of sucked, but they got the ball first in overtime.
They got to change.
So
the
let
rule,
it go,
Steve. They got to change the rule. There's got to be at least like one penalty review a game or something. They got to. You have to. You can't have millions of dollars and all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like out of all the things you can and can't review, giving someone one penalty, because then if he had used his one penalty review earlier in the game, it goes away. Hey, look, you squandered it here.
Yeah.
You got to give him like one review or something
for
like
a penalty.
It was so blatant. I mean,
yeah.
You don't have to be like, any kind of like wannabe ref to see.
A guy on radio said a good one. If you challenge it and you lose all your timeouts.
Jeez.
Wow. If they challenge a penalty, I thought that was because then you'll think twice about challenging it. But that one they would have obviously won. But like other ones that are kind of ticky tack, and you challenge it, you'll lose all your timeouts. I thought that was an interesting.
It's
concept.
one thing if it's a random game in the regular season, but that was an epic championship game, and it came and. A blind man saw that penalty. So, B, you got any take on that?
Oh, on the penalties?
Yeah,
like there's some. Yeah, I don't. I don't know if I like it, to be honest. The challenging to a certain point, but if we're really going to get to the point where we're reviewing things up to, that was a bad example for this state because it was an obvious pass interference. But if we get to the point where we're going to be reviewing subjective calls, I mean. How are we going to just bring this thing down to a screeching halt because we're going to review everything under the sun?
That's the problem. You got to limit the penalties.
I think you got to give them one, just
one blatant.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like you got to have one call, and you can use it within that 4 quarters. You know what I mean?
And if you lose all your timeouts.
That's crazy.
How about do the college approach where they, they've got someone who's up in headquarters or the booth or whatever that can actually stop play. Because in the NFL, right up until the last 2 minutes of a half, if there's not a challenge, it doesn't get reviewed. Have there be, someone up, wherever, in New York or whatever at headquarters, watching every game, and if there's a blatant thing, call that would need to be reviewed, have them stop play before the next play and do it like they do in college. I think that's a much better system.
Yeah. They just got to figure out how Alabama bribes that guy. That's the only thing. No, I'm just talking.
So right now, the state of the NFL and the state of college football, if you got to sit down and watch one or the other, which one are you picking, Bill? A big college game?
I believe you already said it, yeah.
A big college game or a big championship game? Which one are you watching?
A big game? Overall, I'd rather watch college, but if you get down to the conference championship game versus NFL conference championship game versus a bowl game or whatnot, I'd probably still rather watch the NFL game for the most part, but week to week, I'd rather watch college.
It's not even a conversation. NFL product's better. It just is. That's the problem. I mean, you had 2 great teams in college football who just continue to load up and pound people. What do you do? I mean, I don't like that. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, and to me, the cliff. So what BV's talking about is like this whole league dynamic of leaning offense, but like the cliff that college football. I mean, there's like 6 good teams.
And then, only 2 of them can actually win it.
Yeah, and then there's everyone else is in the sewer relative to it is.
That's fair.
To me, NFL product is just 10 times better.
Every year at the beginning of the NFL season, everyone feels like they have a chance.
Yeah,
because of the parity and everything else, except for the Lions.
Yeah,
but everyone, Lions.
But even, like you said, there was hope in Detroit.
There was hope when it started because they thought he was a rocket scientist.
Yeah, and then like you talk about BV lives in a city now that started out the season kind of lukewarm, Mitch Trubisky and all, a lot of change and and then they put it together. So I just to me, and I had this argument a lot with people I work with. The NFL product is just 10 times better. Politics and BS aside, week to week, I look forward to because like you said, any given week in college is just so volatile. It's one of the most things I've railed against it in this podcast where it was like the whole nation got together and hated Ohio State, and it's like you're just done, because you lost one game, you're just toast. I don't like that whole way, and that's my 2 cents. I think the NFL product is just 10 times better. It's night and day.
So Charles, really quickly, the question would be this: so is the NFL product more diluted than it's ever been?
Diluted in what fashion? I would say
the quality of football, because you're right. The product is always better. They're better players. It's better organized. There's a much smaller gap between the good and bad teams in the NFL than there are in college, obviously. But as far as the quality of football in the NFL, is it more diluted now, or is it weaker than it has been in that you can remember? Or?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that. And again, you yourself put your if you no one was thinking the Patriots were going to win again this year. You know what I mean? So to me,
especially
as long
Bill.
As you have those, yeah, exactly. As long as you have those fundamentals working your way back to it, I think that it's just. To me, it's not even close. It's one of those things where college is great because it's such chaos.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Did you come in on Monday? Did you see what happened on Saturday? It's just complete anarchy. Whereas, like I said, NFL's a little more plotting, a little bit more evened out. For me, it's just not even close. You just don't know what you're going to get. I mean, and then like I said. There's teams that they lose one game, and their whole season's just toast.
Yeah.
I mean, how crazy is that?
But it does make it a little more exciting in the regular season, though, sometimes with college.
Dude, that's so
My problem with college is the cupcake matches. And there's some weekends when there's just nothing on college-wise worth watching. Or the one big match they hyped for that day ends up 52-10. And you're like, oh, this sucks. So, and then they put the 3 every weekend on college. There's 3 good games you're looking forward to, and they put all 3 of them on at 8:00 at night.
That's tough.
That's annoying. That gets a little annoying. At least with football, it's a little more spread out, and everybody has a little more options.
I just think that also the NFL playoffs. So coming from someone who might be a Giants fan, you get in as a wild card. All you gotta do is put a couple games together, and you can do some stuff. You don't even get that chance in college. It's just.
What are you talking about? You could go to the Weed Eaters Bowl or whatever.
It's so crazy, man. College football is crazy. And then what I hate is in 2019, there's still so many arguments that happen for college football. And you can make cases for every team and every angle. And it's annoying. Whereas, like I said, in the NFL, I hate the Patriots, but I can't argue the fact that they beat everyone in the playoffs and won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not a fan of it, but at least it's, there's no one going, yeah, but, you know what I mean? There's none of that.
Well, I mean, this year, who's going to argue that in college? I mean, Clemson beat everyone's ass.
But year over year.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So there you go. Look at football. Now we all got to spend times with our wives. Nobody wants to do that.
Yeah, it's overrated.
Start watching some superhero movies coming up. So, Bill, being in Chicago, you didn't get to. If you were here in Michigan, you would have got to be part of it. But Charles and I had pretty much a fight weekend.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's testosterone-filled weekend.
Yes. So, what you may or may not be. You still there, Bill?
I am.
What you may or may not be aware of, Bill, is in Southgate, Michigan. Not Pontiac, Michigan. Southgate, Michigan.
Yeah, Southgate. The same place I got married at.
Yeah, the Crystal Gardens.
It was at a banquet center.
WXC 75 Night of Champions.
Yeah, so this is Warrior Extreme Cage Fighting.
Now, you never did get to go to Clash with us, did you, Bill?
No, I haven't.
Have you been to independent wrestling things?
Yeah, we went a couple times years ago when Rhino was still doing the independents. We went to a couple local shows, but that's the only thing I've ever seen.
And when you go to those independent ones, it looks like the ring's put up in someone's backyard and they duct taped half the stuff. Mm-hmm. And you could tell it's not a professional product.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing I'll give credit to this MMA thing we went to, everything is set up almost professionally.
It seemed seemed like so they basically could divide it into 2 areas. You had an amateur card, which is 5 fights, and then they went into a pro card, which is another 5 fights. And the first 5 fights they broadcast live to Facebook Live, and I gave Steve the link. You can rewatch it if you wanted to, because we watched a guy break his leg, BB, and it's even crazier to watch.
He looked. You remember Greg, right, Bill?
Yeah.
He looked like him with a little bit bigger beard.
Yeah, it's this guy named Colton Miller. In 45 seconds, he got straight beat, and while he was in guard, like on the ground, the dude just broke his leg.
Yeah, his foot was off by like 2 inches. Yeah. From his ankle down, his foot was to the right, and his leg was to the left.
It was crazy.
It was crazy. They're like, we're going to take an intermission now, and they wheeled his ass out on a stretcher.
So we went. It was like a 5-hour long event. So we got there.
It was worse than WrestleMania, Bill.
Dude, we got there at like 6:30. We didn't leave until 11:30. We actually weaseled our way. We were sitting right in the front row. Me, Steve, and we took our dad, because Wiggs couldn't make it. And I had a blast, but they needed to adjust that card somehow.
It was so long.
It was really long. But, it was fun to see, like, a lot of these different dojos, as Steve kept calling them, coming in, bringing their guys.
Am I wrong, Bill? When you practice for karate, what's that called?
I don't know. I've never practiced karate.
Your dojo, man. You can't go to the dojo.
It was fun.
They kept calling them training centers now. They're no longer dojos.
So
I guess I'm old.
Is it like, team discomfort?
Yeah.
So what's crazy about it, too, so the first half was on Facebook Live. Then when they went into their pro fights, they actually worked out a deal. They're on UFC Fight Pass. So apparently they're going to have a replay available for folks on UFC Fight Pass, which is pretty cool. A lot of the matches I would give them really bad. The one thing, and I tended to Steve, because I am to MMA that Steve and BV is to wrestling. I know way too much about it and all this kind of stuff.
He kept trying to tell Dad all these pointers. Dad just like glazed over.
Yeah,
like, okay, whatever, man.
The refereeing was rough, and that was one of the things. Like I was telling Steve and stuff. They didn't stop fights when they were supposed to. They didn't push the action enough. And that was one of the things I kept telling Steve. These people would like lay on top of one another. And it's basically very similar to wrestling. It's the ref's job to pace a match. So in other words, if you got two dudes just laying on each other, stand them up, push the action. They didn't do that enough. And I thought that they were thinking they were working towards something, but they weren't. It was bad.
They were gas-laying on each other.
Yeah, it was bad reffing, and that was what I was telling Steve. And the one fight, they should have stopped earlier, and a dude just got straight starched and got knocked out. And it was because the ref let it go. And then at one point, a fighter got up and wanted to fight the ref because he stopped it too early. Steve was kind of peeping this. I was talking to my dad.
That dude was out cold for about... He was only out for a little bit, like maybe 30 seconds. So then when he came to, he thought he was still fighting. Yeah. And the ref told him it was over, and he started pushing the ref and wanting to fight the ref.
It got pretty crazy, but I definitely recommend it. I had a great time. Me, Steve, and the old man had a great time. The only thing is, like I said, dude, it's a long evening. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think,
bring a seat cushion.
Yeah, they're trying to give you like a better value, but it's like, how about you cut a few of these matches or push the action on a couple of them? So.
Me and Bill know. We sat to that marathon WrestleMania in New Orleans.
Did it take 5 hours for you guys out there?
Yeah, it was longer, I think. Well, how long was that WrestleMania, Bill?
It was like 7 hours long.
Yeah,
was it really?
Well, boxing cards are like that too, though, because, like, for example, like the biggest fight I went to in Detroit was years ago. I went to see Mike Tyson and Andrew Galata, and so, like, when you watch a pay-per-view, it's a lot like the UFC. When you watch a pay-per-view boxing show, they'll have 3 or 4 fights, but there'll literally be 6 or 7 fights before that aren't on TV.
Yeah.
And they'll start at 5, 6 o'clock in the evening and go until 11, 12, sometimes longer.
Yeah. And then that was another thing that, as you mentioned, professional boxers. So Tommy Hitman Hearns showed up to this event, BB. You should have watched the public annoy the shit out of this man. So we were sitting literally in the front row. There was probably a good 700 people. It was packed. I mean, it was jammed up in this thing. And we got in there so early and stuff. Me, Steve, and the old man sitting right in the front row. It was really cool to see. And they kind of brought him and put him at ringside.
He was literally 5 feet from us.
Yeah. And you should have seen the public just annoy the shit out of this man. Like, me and Steve both were like, it annoys me, and it's not even me who they're bothering.
It looks like he has what Muhammad Ali has, but like early onset. It's not full blown yet.
Yeah.
He's not too with it, but He was there enjoying the fights. He was in his beige suit. He was pimped out. He was ready to watch some fights.
He was real gracious to the public, too. That's
he was nice to everyone that came up to him.
Super nice to him. But for me and Steve, I'm like, just leave the man alone.
Dad noticed him right away because I guess he saw him at the airport one time. Dad's like, look to your right. It's the Hitman. I was like, who, Bret Hart? Oh, Tommy Hearns.
I met him somewhere about 15, maybe 20 years ago. And he was a little punchy then.
Yeah. Oh, where did you see him at?
I was working at a job real briefly at this place called the Drapery Boutique.
Of course you did.
And he went in with his wife looking at like drapes and stuff. And I was like, oh, it's Tommy Hearns.
Leave it to BB to have a job at a Drapery Boutique. That
was back when I had a different job like every 2 or 3 months. I had to be like my early 20s.
Yeah, you had a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
But it was...
nice guy, though.
One thing I would say, BB, I think you get a kick out of it. If, like I said, if one time we can coordinate it, we'd like to go check it out again. It was we had a good time.
Yeah, and apparently they're going to start doing events once a month now.
Yeah.
The last Wednesday,
Warrior
Wednesdays, every Wednesday at the place. So if you guys if anyone's out there interested, it's www.wxcmma.com.
Yeah.
This is the 75th event, so they must have been around
really
a while.
popular. Me and Steve were shocked by how many people
and I was surprised how many people there, and everyone had to get. You know when you go to a concert and every middle-aged chick's got to get shit-faced because they don't want to go back to working at the office on Monday? Every middle-aged dude there was just getting trashed. You ran into so many clouds of weed whiff in that place. And then dudes were just double-fisting beers all night long. And it was all those dude bro guys that would wear Ed Hardy and stuff.
Yeah, it was a very meathead crowd.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, they all used to work loss prevention at Sears. There was a whole crowd of them. And they all brought their wives, too. Which there was a lot of women there, which I was quite surprised by.
Yeah, nothing says I love you like a bloody face.
Yeah. Hey, Judy, let's go down to the MMA.
And, one of the things that drove...
Judy. I just threw Judy out.
Do that out there. One of the things that drove Steve nuts, and I know of this from UFC events, is no one shows up on time to these things because they know it's 5 hours long. So me and Steve and the old man are, kind of studious. Doors were at 6. We got there about 6:30 or whatever. People kept showing up, and we were sitting in the front row, and Steve kept bringing it up. People were looking at our row like there might be seats available. Dude,
2 hours late. Maybe there's something in the front row available. You assholes, go sit down in the back. Shut the hell up.
Steve was going nuts about it.
Because I was right by the aisle, so I kept getting everyone standing there looking.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're annoying the hell out of me. Go away, you douches.
But it was a good time.
And there was no ushers and no assigned seating.
It was very rodeo style. It was just grab a seat.
They give you a wristband, and then you're if you have a yellow wristband, you're in the first 3 rows.
Yeah.
And a blue wristband, you're in the next 10 and stuff. But there's no assign. You can go wherever you want.
To me, I think if we were to go back, and like I said, maybe we can coordinate this one of the times with BV rolling out here because I think he'd really have a good time with it. I don't think you should get the ringside seating. To me, if you got there early enough, you get in the 4th row and you have a great time. You know what I mean? To me, it's not worth the premium. I did it because, me, Steve, and, Wiggs at the time were going to go. We'd never been to one, so we didn't know the protocol to it. And
the only bummer is they don't have any kind of monitors or TVs.
Yeah,
so you don't get to see no replays. That kind of sucks.
It's a much better product on their website. Their broadcast was a much better product than we got to see live, I would say.
Well, there you go. Just watch on the broadcast.
Yeah, no, I like MMA a lot, so I'd like to. I'd go.
A blast.
Yeah. So there you go, a little look at the MMA. Now, that was the first part of our 2-day
Friday.
fighting extravaganza. So then the next day, we watched Bare Knuckle Fighting from Tijuana or something. I don't know what.
Cancun, Mexico.
Yeah, I prefer Tijuana. It's just better from Tijuana. In a bar in Tijuana. Bare Knuckle Fighting, which Charles is going to apparently be the Joe Rogan of Bare Knuckle Fighting.
It's great.
He wants to be the spokesman for Bare Knuckle Fighting.
I'm going to get everyone turned on to it. Steve won't admit it, but quite a few people watched our commentary. We couldn't do the broadcast.
Yeah, we were having technical difficulties. Charles, why did we have technical difficulties?
And I talked about it a few weeks ago, and I talked to BV, and I told him, we were kind of talking about it at length, about how this Fight TV app has a lot of this obscure fighting on it. And I'm like, dude, it's really a neat app. And apparently that app literally destroyed my internet at my house.
Yes.
So we had streamed the Bare Knuckle Fight, and my modem died. I mean,
I've never seen this before in my life. An app on a program destroyed all his internet in the house. It was, I couldn't believe it,
dude. We tried because what we want to do, and we're going to do it in the future. I'm telling you, Steve, because people are into it. Steve don't want to admit it
because 66 chumps clicked on that video. What we're going to do?
People are into Bare Knuckle Fighting. I want to bring it to the forefront. It's great, but The point was, we tried to do a live stream of it. We couldn't do jack. I mean, it was just chugging. And then we kind of paired. Me being who I am, I kept working at it and kept working at it. Steve's laughing at me as I'm like, okay, what is it? Is it my internet? I'm blaming AT&T.
Yeah, he's ready to call AT&T and yell at movies.
Yeah, and it had nothing to do with any of that. It had purely to do with that Fight TV app. But the one thing I'll say back to the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, though, BV, again, another event that you got to come out here and we all got to sit around and check out because I know BV will appreciate Bare Knuckle Fighting. There's no doubt BV will love it.
But, Bill, there's no sweet science to it. These guys are not trained boxers.
These are animals. Just
I used to watch a lot of Tough Man contests.
That's what a lot
very
like
similar.
Yeah,
very similar.
I can't believe that I don't already know about all this.
See? BV slipping.
I would love watching Bare Knuckle.
See?
Dude, there's a lot of blood, I'll tell you that much.
So I've watched all 4 of the events now since the inception of this particular league, which seems to be the most legit of the bare knuckle stuff. And this was the worst pay-per-view, I'd argue. It just didn't have the action that the other ones did. But nonetheless, there still was some great cuts. There still was a lot of blood. The venue was really weird. It was in Cancun.
There's about 20 people in the crowd.
Yeah, it was a weird baseball diamond in Cancun.
Empty baseball diamond.
Yeah, and it was a weird setup. And then, they had a rematch of 2 of the bigger guys that had one of the better fights in Bare Knuckle Fighting 2. And it wasn't as good. I'll tell you that. So if I were to introduce people to Bare Knuckle, I would tell them to watch the 4th one last. Definitely the 2nd and the 3rd one are much better. Probably the 2nd one's the best one in my opinion. But BV, we got to get you out here. We got to get you going for some Bare Knuckle. I'm gonna keep beating my chest about it. They got a bunch of events scheduled. I'm gonna be on the hook for all of them. I love it. I'm officially.
Let me just describe this female fight. All right, there's this blonde Australian girl.
Beck Rawlings, who's their Ronda Rousey. She's an old UFC Invictus fighter. I can go on.
She's actually a little bit bigger than Ronda Rousey, actually.
Yeah, and she's tough. She's tough.
She's a big woman, Australian, weird tattoos all over. She kind of looks like Pink, but just giant with tattoos. Yeah. They put her up in this fight against this 5'2" poor little Mexican girl.
Flores.
She couldn't have been 90 pounds soaking wet. Mexican, 5'2".
BV, she beat the brakes off the stick.
Her upper lip was sticking out past her nose because it got beat so bad.
I don't know who was reffing this. And
I'll give the little Mexican girl credit.
She went the whole 5 rounds.
She went 5 rounds. But she was walking to the wrong corner at the end of rounds. That's how messed up this girl was.
It was bad.
So is the refereeing bad here too?
The refereeing is bad. It's such a gnarly sport.
The ref was like Doug Heffernan.
Yeah, it's hard to explain, BV. I mean, it's so violent. I mean, there's no other way to describe it.
I was expecting to see like real boxer kind of guys blocking, bobbing, and weaving. No, it was tough, man. They were just swinging arms. I mean, a couple guys kind of blocked and did some stuff, but most of them, it was like watching people play video game boxing. They were just in there just throwing hands.
To Steve's point, I mean, that Cecilia Flores got beat like no one I've ever seen and kept coming.
Yeah, and nobody hugged.
No,
like there was no tying up arms or anything. It was just let's go. We're throwing hands and that's it.
It's a great event, and like I said, I'm going to continue to do this. Now that we got our stream down, I'm going to do it through the computer. Steve's coming over. BV's coming into town for one of these.
Yeah, 3-man commentary.
One? Because I'll just arrange the time.
Dude, I'm telling you, BV, I'll send you a message. You're coming in for this.
It's a hard website. I did find a website. It's like bkfc.tv or something.
It's tough, man.
You got to Google Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship.
Don't worry about it. I'll do all the work for you, BV. You just show up. Bring your color commentary. I'll have you set up.
I did read on this a little. I was reading on this, when you guys were talking about it before. So I read something about Anthony Johnson getting involved with this? Is he going to fight?
He was just at this BKFC 4 that so they're talking about they're going to get him in the ring. The squared circle, as it's known in the bare knuckle.
Which makes no sense because the ring is circle.
So it's in a ring?
It's
like a regular boxing ring?
It's got a weird
it's
rope
a circular
system.
Ring.
It's a metal rope system. Steve was commenting. He's like, how are these ropes doing?
I don't know how they keep the ropes in a circular pattern, but they did it.
I'm telling you, man. It's so good.
It kind of reminds you of TNA's old octagon ring, but the ropes are curved. That's the difference.
All right. I'll troll it on. I'm sure there's got to be stuff on YouTube.
But for sure, I'm gonna get BV and work. This is not going away, people. This is not.
It's not going to take much to get me into it.
Dude, I'm telling you,
watch
I'm
these guys
about this.
go to the emergency room and make $50 a night with boxing.
Dude, it was crazy.
The emergency room costs them $200. They're gonna be in the hole.
There's just the blood on
There's
that
a
Sicilian
ton of
floor.
blood. Even the people who win are bleeding. I mean, this is
Dude, it's brutal.
If you're into blood,
It's great.
It's
So
something to watch.
BV's down.
Sounds
gonna
like my
keep
kind of show.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep beating the drum about it. Steve was slightly intrigued, except me and him go round and round about female fighters.
I don't like watching females punch each other's face. I'm sorry.
I'm telling you,
I know I may be
they're
sexist
sportsmen.
or whatever it is.
You cannot deny them
I
their
don't care
right
if you're a
to
sport.
participate.
You can be. That's fine. I don't want to watch it.
Thank you for the civil rights.
I don't want to watch Giant Pink beat the hell out of some poor little Mexican girl.
It was great.
It felt so weird
Oh
the
my
whole time I
God.
watched it.
Dude.
I told you.
So
I told
anyway,
you that night.
We will
but-
be here for BKFC 5. We will have the live stream commentary with BV in the house.
I think they said April was their next big.
Okay.
It was
I'll
like a
send
couple
BB
months
the deets,
because they had
man.
one in April. They had two in April. Remember,
Okay.
it was April
This
6th
isn't
and
going
April
away.
20th.
So, Steve, I'm telling you, this
It's
isn't
gonna go.
going
It's gonna go
away.
bankrupt by the next
Dude,
pay-per-view.
I'm telling you,
I don't even know.
it's not
There was
going
10
away.
people in the crowd. How are they even going to pay these
BB
fighters?
And you are going to keep going, and people are going to. It's a groundswell of people getting interested in this pugilism.
Groundswell, 3 morons.
It's so
Me, you,
good.
and Bill.
I cannot get
I
enough.
think I
of
just
this.
found their website.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
telling you, I can't get enough of this product. I
It'll
can't.
probably crash while you're looking at the website.
Is the chick's name Beck Rollins?
Yeah,
Yes.
she's their champion. She
Yeah,
just got crowned.
Giant Pink with tattoos all over.
So good.
She has heart.
No, she's got big time heart. She
Okay.
thumped them.
She's fighting 80-pound women. Of
They
course she's
both
going to
weighed
win.
in a comparable weight class, Steve. This is
Whatever.
all sanctioned by the
This is-
Mexico Athletic
This
Commission.
is UFC back in the early 90s is what this is.
Cancun Athletic Commission.
Dude,
I'm pretty sure the Cancun Athletic Commission is pretty
telling
legit.
you,
Wow.
you couldn't be more wrong on this topic.
It's
You're
funny.
going to show up. We're going to live stream.
I don't mind the big meatheads popping each other. I just don't like the girls pounding each other.
So
It's kinda
anyway,
weird.
that was the end of So basically we went local MMA, WXC 75, into Bare Knuckle 4, into the Super Bowl, and here we are talking to you
and
folks
into
today.
broken internet on Bare Knuckle 4.
Tough
Don't forget
internet,
that.
man. That Fight
Sounds like a
TV, stay
damn
away
good
from
weekend.
Yeah, it was very manly. I have a lot of testosterone in me right now.
it. We are built up.
Yes. Yeah. So there you go. Now, one thing I did get to see last week.
I
And-
watched it too.
Did you watch Polar?
And me and you are going to have differing opinions.
Okay.
So go ahead. So basically what this is, so this is a Netflix show that just came out. It was akin for me to Man on Fire with Denzel Washington. It had a style to it. I loved it. I thought you were very lukewarm, said it was really slow and didn't dig it. So it's a different spin on the retired assassin. So basically
It's a poor man's John Wick.
Dude, it had a viewpoint that John Wick did. John Wick was already out of the game. This basically is this guy.
This guy's getting out of the game.
but
It's the same damn
It was
thing.
a different theory. I thought it was great. You're wrong. It was.
It didn't know if it wanted to be a comedy or wanted to be serious. That's number one.
But the John Wick is not super serious like that. I mean, it's over the top action.
John Wick didn't have WWE entrances for each assassin.
Oh, come
They
on. That
stopped
was the
it.
style choice.
They
It
did
was
a
a
comic
style
book entrance.
choice, and you know it.
Oh, man. And why did she have to blow him to kill him?
Because that was the whole thing of like over the topness of it.
And then, so they hype up these 5 crazy assassins.
Who were like the new. So basically, what was happening. So I thought it was funny that assassins had a pension plan.
Yeah.
So as the older generation of assassins retire, they get fully vested in their pension. So basically, the new form of assassins were coming along. And we're basically eliminating the old retiring ones to keep this company together.
So
we
the
can
company
sell.
don't have to pay the retirement of $8 million.
So he was like in charge of like getting like $8 million, something
Yeah.
crazy for them because he'd done so many jobs. So then what Steve's saying is as they're introducing the new generation, it was very like, it reminded me like a comic book. Like it had a style to it that I thought
based
was,
on a comic book.
It must be. Yeah, I can see that. It totally is. And I thought it was really cool. It was a total, like, turn your brain off, just over the top, like John Wick. It was super good. I don't know. You're really lukewarm on it. When he broke out the gloves with the machine guns,
That was
and
cool.
everything,
I mean, it's got cool moments. I just overall as a movie, I thought it was
There
kind
was
of
when he put that drill to that guy's forehead. Oh my God! Tell me you didn't go ooh.
Yeah, it's violent. It's pretty violent. Well, it's just kind of weird. That's probably I couldn't get over.
Was all
its
over
tone. If they just picked one tone and stuck with that, probably been fine. Because even at the end, it was kind of a more serious tone with that girl, and he wants her to murder him. Spoilers, sorry, too late.
Yeah,
but
it was a daughter from.
Yeah, so that went into like the lone wolf and cub kind of storyline type thing. But it was just. But then earlier in the movie, you got these crazy assassins are chasing them.
But that's how it always is.
And
there's always like a new up and coming like kooky guy.
Yeah, well,
here's never get the old salt.
Yeah, well, here's the 5 crazy assassins that they really pump up, right? And he murders all of them in one
scene. He's a Black Kaiser, man.
Whatever. They hype these people up.
Dude,
you think they're going to chase him throughout, and he might eliminate 1 or 2 as they go.
You were
he killed all of them except for one guy, butt naked in the snow. I was like, really?
It was good, man.
It was okay.
Dude, you're crazy.
There's a lot of boobs. There's a lot of sex.
There's a lot.
So
it's pretty graphic at times.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
And this is on Netflix. The name of it is Polar. I don't regret watching it. I'll tell you that much. There's movies I regret when I watch them. I go, oh god, that was 2 hours. I can't.
Let me tell you.
But it was weird, and the tone was everywhere. I'll tell you that much.
Relative to a lot of the other movies I've watched on Netflix recently.
Yeah, well, it's a Netflix 8, which makes it against real movies about a 5. So you're bumping it up because Netflix mostly sucks.
I like because I think of like a movie like The Replacement Killers. I love a movie that has a tone and like
It had a tone, about 6 different tones. You didn't know which one to follow.
Dude, you're way too harsh on this. I thought it was great. I'd watch it if they made another sequel to it or something like that.
I probably would watch the sequel out of curiosity.
Black Kaiser.
So the sequel would be them, him and the girl going after
he was
the Pearson.
torturing him, man. Oh, whoa.
Yeah, Michelle couldn't watch him.
Dude, that was getting brutal.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. It was quirky. It felt a lot like that. You didn't see it. Hotel Artemis was kind of the same way, where in moments it's super serious and it's kind of light, and then it's kind of you just like what am I supposed to be here?
I say to people, I'm a definite check it out.
Okay, so Polar, a Netflix 8, a real movie 5.
Polar is polarizing. Apparently.
I mean, I like the Michael Madison or whatever that guy's name is that played the main guy. He's in Star Wars Rogue One. And he plays one of them. He's in a lot of movies. I can't think.
You'll
of his
recognize
name.
him as soon as you see him.
They always call him Mads or something like that. I forget what they call him, but in real life. So there you go, Polar. Something for Bill and Abby to watch tomorrow night.
There you go, BB. Check it out.
I'll get right on that. I haven't even seen any of the John Wicks, so.
Oh, John Wicks are really good.
Dude, watch them like we just did for the weekend. Take yourself a nice manly weekend and just watch a bunch of like John Wick movies,
and then watch Bare Knuckle later that night.
Exactly, BB. Just get your testosterone jacked,
and then just eat a raw steak afterwards. Like, don't even cook it; just grab it, just eat it, and share some with Abby. I know she'll love that. All right,
So I want to talk about
before we go on there, I want to apologize to our Facebook crowd because we keep losing connection again.
Do we? Oh man,
there's something.
We're having
technical difficulties the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Don't know if it's the camera. Don't know if it's the Wi-Fi.
You're all on 5G. It could be the different tablet too. Are you on 5G for your Android tablet there too? Yeah. Wow.
So we're having.
Maybe we'll go back down to 2.4 and see if we get a little better luck or something like that. We'll move everything to 2.4.
Yeah,
I've got a dual band router, and maybe that's giving us the flux.
The flux capacitor?
The flux. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was I went down a whole thing because obviously doing what we do every week, there's no easy way to aggregate and like to download podcasts on an Android phone. So iTunes does a good job of checking for new episodes coming out of a particular podcast you subscribe to, and pulling that information down and downloading it and forcing it to your phone or whatever.
Our crowd's telling us they can't hear Bill.
Oh, so you got on the wrong one then. So the only other thing I would say that the issue is on the Android, the problem's going to be is there was no easy way to get those podcasts and directly download them. So for $4, not free, which I was kind of annoyed with, but whatever. There's a great app called Pocket Casts, and it's an app that will actually on Android download whatever podcast you subscribe to, and you can put up, like, I want to have 3 episodes of this podcast or whatever, and it downloads it. So the nice part about that is you can set this up, like, on your Android device. As you charge it and as you're on Wi-Fi, it will automatically download those newest episodes and stuff like that. So it's everything that you want, like iTunes to do, that it does for free, but in the Android world, you got to pay a couple bucks. I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention as we do podcasts every week. If you're looking to get those subscriptions and to all those different podcasts, it's nice to not have to chase to know when something's new out, and that Pocket Cast does that. And it also does it where it downloads it while your phone is charging and over Wi-Fi. You can set these details up so that you don't use your cell phone data and all that kind of stuff. Because I know that can be kind of annoying to a lot of people because you don't want to chew up all your data just listening to 2 idiots talk and all that kind of stuff. So,
When you listen to us, Bill, what do you listen on?
I either catch the Facebook Live as it's going, or I'll watch it. I'll run it on Facebook after the fact.
Facebook very popular.
yeah, it seems to be, except we just can't seem to stay on it.
Yeah. So when you see 3 different videos from us on the same feed because it keeps cutting out for some reason,
man.
Yeah, internet's not liking us lately. So there you go. So the podcast for Android, $3.99 in the
Pocket
Google Play
Cast,
Store.
Pocket.
Now, did you pull up our podcast on there?
Yeah, it's available on there, and you
Oh,
can subscribe
man.
to it. So as this episode were to go live or whatever, and it shows up in the RSS feed for it, it'll download it automatically.
Wow, there you
It's
go.
really nice, and like I said, you can dictate how many episodes you want to keep. Do you want to get them all? Do you want to just get the newest 5 or 2? It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's a really slick app. The only thing, like I said, it's doing everything iTunes does for free for $4. So,
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
yeah.
So now, before we go into rapid fire, I want to cover. I forgot to put it on the list, but we're going to cover it anyways.
What you got?
3 minutes of wrestling.
Okay.
Because I got my boy BV on here.
Yeah.
Now, Charles, I know you don't follow.
I'm just going to turn my mic off, ladies and
Well,
gentlemen.
we got to cover it because I thought it was very intriguing. One of the big guys in WWE.
Hold on. You got the Facebook live feed good for BV because I want to make sure BV's going out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I switched it.
Good. You on tablet audio?
Yeah. Okay. So we'll see how this goes. The surprise this week, and you won't know who this is, but he's kind of a big-time guy on Raw. Dean Ambrose asked for his release coming in April.
Release proper from WWE.
Yes, he wants out.
I know who Dean Ambrose is.
Oh, you are aware of that?
I am aware of that because I listened to 3 minutes of wrestling on this podcast. But
He
I
was
do
part
know
of
the name. I am correct. And he's a big name.
Yeah, he was a
deal.
big name. All these guys, now he's the first that got his release, but there's been others that have asked for releases and didn't get them. There's a tag team called, Bill, who's the tag team that wanted to release?
The Revival.
The Revival. They're kind of old school, kind of a tag team. He went out. There's rumor that Sasha Banks, one of the big female wrestlers, wants out. All because of that AEW down south in there. Now, there's rumors.
That was the one we talked about a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
The guy who owns the Jaguars is bumping up a league and seems to be pouring boatloads of cash.
Yeah, and now I think April 7th, don't quote me on that, there's a big press conference with AEW again in Las Vegas, and this is where they're going to announce their TV contract. They're having a pay-per-view.
I'm talking to 2 wrestling gurus here, and you and BV. What is your opinion of what network they're going to end up on?
The rumor is there's 2. They got it down to 2.
Paramount and what else?
No.
Oh, darn.
TNT/TBS
Wow.
or the CBS Sports Network. Those
CBS
2.
Sports Network's not as good as the TNT TBS one, I would say.
Those are the 2 that are after him. That was the latest report. How true that is, I don't know. But
now let me ask the question of BV and you here. All signs are pointing to they're going to get some top-tier talent at this thing.
well, top tier is a little debatable.
Dean Ambrose is
Dean Ambrose,
top-tier talent.
well, we don't know for sure that he's going to go there. He could go to Ring of
That's-
Honor. He could go to Japan. He could go to England. He might have a whole
All
laundry
signs
list.
point to, though.
But right now, the big one that's handing out big checks, like WCW did back in the 90s, is AEW with that guy with the funky mustache from the Jaguars. Apparently, he doesn't want a quarterback. He wants wrestlers.
So let me ask BV's opinion. What is your opinion of this league? We've kind of chronicled Steve's thoughts. What is the BV theory on this?
Well, I mean, it depends on how much money Tony Khan throws at it, but they've got a good base. I mean, they're not going to compete with the WWE. No one is going to compete with WWE legitimately right now. Although it is odd, but people seem to want to go there for a number of reasons. The biggest of which is that there's a whole bunch of people on the roster of the WWE that feel that they're not getting opportunities, or they're my understanding with Ambrose is that he doesn't like his character development, and part of it is because too much of the PG environment. And because his contract's up in April, and he just has notified them he's not going to re-sign. And from what I read and actually heard on, there's a radio show that I listen to sometimes on the way to work in the morning, that's wrestling based called Busted Open.
Busted Open on XM Radio.
Yeah, that
good,
on
show.
Fight on the Fight channel.
If I had XM, I would.
Fight Nation. Apparently, he was offered low seven figures annually for 5 years and turned it down.
Wow.
There's some speculation it's possible he might not wrestle at all. I guess he's one of those that kind of lives frugally and is taking care of his money, but I think it's more than likely he'll end up in AEW.
So what is your opinion, BV? I mean, like, as far as, do you think it's going to be do you think it's going to be a competitor? I know Steve said that all signs point to it should be. I just question whether or not that's crazy. It's an unproven product, like, at this point.
Yeah.
I think it can be I think it can become the number 2 option pretty quickly, but they're not. I mean, this isn't Ted Turner, this isn't WCW, and if the idea is, are they going to go, balls to the wall to try to take out WWE or to try to go head to head with them, probably not.
Yeah, they need to do their own thing, build up doing your own thing.
Yeah. And let me ask you your guys' opinion. To me, if like you said, I would watch it, and being of the Attitude Era, like, if they got back to some more of like BB's describing, like, lose some of the PG angleness to it and stop worrying about Make-A-Wish kids for 10 minutes. You know what I mean? And actually kind of mix it up a little bit. I'm listening. You know what I mean? Like,
the whole PG thing, I believe, was to appeal to the stock.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah.
When they went public, it kind of killed any
And
opportunity
to sell
of
them
any
lunch boxes and backpacks, and you can't sell too many of those with a
Do you think
shirt.
that this will be smart enough to realize, hey, look, we can fill a void that's left by the WWE? Is that what your guys' opinion is?
I think so, and I think if they just do their own thing, and then if they do get that TV contract they're saying they get, yeah, I'll watch it. I'll DVR it. But don't, like TNA, they went up on Mondays, and we're going to put our show against Raw. Like, how stupid are you? Put the show on
Wednesday.
It's
okay, Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday, Wednesday. Nobody's there. No football, whatever.
You can compete with them, but don't directly say don't shots fired.
Yeah. Once a week. Don't even mention WWE when you put your product out there. Yeah, just do your own thing. They don't have, I don't know what kind of money.
Do you think they're smart enough to do that, though?
I think so.
BB?
One kind of important part to note here that I think kind of supports that they will is that the primary force behind it, from a wrestling standpoint, Cody Rhodes and the two guys, the Young Bucks, they're the same guys that from the business standpoint put on that All-In pay-per-view in Chicago last year.
That's what you guys talked about.
And sold out a 15,000 square or 15,000 seat arena or something like that in a half an hour.
Yeah.
So I mean the non-WWE options are already alive and well, and now guys have left WWE and proven that they can. Cody Rhodes does better now financially and for his career than he ever did in the WWE.
Yeah, he was like a mid-card guy. They made him wrestle the guy who plays Arrow on CW, so he was like nothing in the WWE. Yeah. And he had all kind. They gave him like 10 different gimmicks, none of them stuck. So he went off and did his own thing, and now he's like big time, making tons. And that's a lot of the guys like Dean Ambrose and even Daniel Bryan, who's real big in WWE. He wanted to leave and go do independent for a while because there's a roadmap now. That's what Cody Rhodes did. He quit. Well, I don't know if he got fired or got released. And then he kind of set the roadmap of how you can make money independently.
Independent of the WWE.
Yes.
Is what the word is. When you say independent, it just means non-WWE.
Yeah, he went to Ring of Honor and I think New Japan for a little bit. Now he's back here. And so he kind of set the roadmap and the blueprint. So now these other guys in WWE are
hey, wait a minute.
Yeah, we can make as much as him, and we don't have to do these terrible character gimmicks. Let's go do that.
And he walked away from WWE on his own. He asked to be released because he wasn't happy with his character development.
Well, they're independent contractors,
years ago,
as we've learned on the podcast. Yeah. So now let me ask the question: do you guys, do you think they can be as successful regardless of whatever this new league that you're talking about comes up? Do you feel like a Dean Ambrose has the name and enough to do that groundswell?
He's actually a bigger wrestler right now than Cody Rhodes was when he left.
Wow.
So he's more of a known name than Cody Rhodes was. So if he went to like Ring of Honor, for instance, he'll sell out.
A lot of cash.
He'll sell out arenas. They'll make money. You know, the Ring of Honor's on that fight app. It'll kill your internet. But and they even I think good old JR does some doesn't he build the Ring of Honor announcing and stuff like that?
I know he did. He did some announcing for New Japan.
New Japan, that's what it was. So these guys can go to Japan and make money and stuff too.
Yeah, and they'll combine there's a lot of collaboration too. Like the Ring of Honor and New Japan have done some joint shows and joint events. In fact, they have I think it's WrestleMania weekend. They're putting on this I can't remember exactly, some kind of a super card where they're putting a dual
like an interleague
show together,
or something,
and they sold out Madison Square Garden in one day. And that's that's WrestleMania weekend when WrestleMania is going to be right there and whatever the MetLife Stadium or whatever.
Yeah, and so as fast as these independent shows are selling out, and these aren't like Clash, these are 15, 30,000
deals.
Yeah, Madison Square Garden's a legit thing. You know that there is a hunger or a need for another league.
That's my opinion. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's what drives me crazy. When you guys can still sit there and watch that WWE product, it's so bad, and I'm like, dude.
I just asked you how you can watch Saturday Night Live every week.
Yeah.
So you know how it is. You know how it ends up.
So but I watched that in literally 10 minutes. So I'm just saying, like, I'm actually somewhat and you guys, we'll all discuss in the weeks to come. Like, if there is something that could be a product that's akin to that 90s wrestling, I'm actually listening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
so here's the big question for these guys, right? I think it's pretty clear that they're going to they're filling a niche and they're going to reach the hardcore wrestling fan. So the people that are watching wrestling, they're into it now, will tune in. They'll like the product. It'll be really popular. The question will be whether or not they have the ability to reach the more mainstream audience and do what WWE has done that virtually nobody else has been able to do.
But not whatever, BB. But why is the end game always to find the more mainstream audience? Do you know what I mean? Like, why can't you
that's where the big money is.
Yeah, but why can't... So, in other words, WWE has shown you that you can make boatloads of cash and be worth $1 billion company. But why can't you just have passion for this thing you do and not necessarily have to immediately sell to, hey, well, we can get in this many more eyeballs...
It's always been part of the game with wrestling.
Yeah.
And you have to have a certain, because to have legitimacy, they're going to have to be on at least a sort of main, top level
basic
cable network. Yeah. And they're going to have to be able to get ratings to support that, to stay there.
But I think if you give a hardcore product to me, you don't have to go full ECW, but I'm saying, like, if you can create an Attitude Era lineup, I think that people would watch it. I'm actually, like I told you, I fell out of it because it got so cheeseball. If you guys are like, hey, Charles, this is like that, I'm going to watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's what they need to do to bring in these cash. But I don't know if they need something different, but they do need a little bit better storylines, maybe a little bit more fun, maybe a little bit more.
Maybe hit someone with a limo.
Yeah, maybe some people with some personality.
Yeah.
People that don't. Right now, like I told you with Ronda Rousey, when she comes down to the ring and does her speech, you know that's a memorized speech they wrote for her.
Working at it.
So if AEW can say, here's a mic, just do something fun, get out there and be crazy.
Get out there and have some personality.
Be the next Rock.
Yeah.
Do what you want. Then I think they have something if they do that.
That's what I'm thinking.
If they do that. That's the question.
Well, this is going to be more pro wrestling. McMahon has gone so far to the extreme with sports entertainment that you end up sort of with exactly what Steve is talking about. This will be more of a traditional pro wrestling show where they're not so concerned with being the leader in sports entertainment. And that's why you'll see the more entertaining mic work and wrestling matches. And
you might see moves because this is one thing WWE does now too. They
ban
ban
away from the high risk moves.
They ban a lot of moves. Like if they feel like that move might like
they got an insurance policy.
Rollins does the one where he stomps on the back of your head because of the concussion thing with the NFL. They made him quit doing that for a while.
You know what I mean? I'm a hillbilly who just wants to watch people wrestle. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, the attitude adjustment was another one for Cena. The one where he gets him on their shoulder. It used to be called something else. I think the FU.
Okay.
And when they went PG, they made him change it to the attitude adjustment. You don't want to say "fu" to the kids,
I don't know. So it sounds like to me, BV is hyped on this product, and you are hyped on this product.
We're hyped on the potential. Now, what happens when it actually happens, and we go to see it? You know what, Bill? What we'll have to do that pay-per-view, their first pay-per-view, we're going to run it. We got to watch it together.
I smell another live stream.
Yeah, we'll have to watch it together, see what they're doing. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not.
Be good.
I don't know.
Could be entertaining to listen to your guys' theory.
Right now, WWE is really pushing the women. See, this is where I think AEW can have a chance. I wouldn't even, if I'm AEW, I wouldn't even try to bother with the women right now. They really haven't even signed any women that I know of. So, WWE is doing that, and that's their thing. So, veer from it. Veer right. You know what I'm saying? That would be my take on it. And then just, go attitude era. Let the guys
mix
develop,
it up, man.
Let the guys develop their own characters. Let them be fun. Let them not be so scripted, and just let them unleash a little bit. Now, the big appeal to wrestlers, from what I understand, the contracts are pretty big. Starting off, they were going to offer benefits, and they're going to be like real workers, and they're not going to travel nearly as much as the WWE does. So that's the appeal for wrestlers right now to go there.
Yeah, they're talking about offering health care.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, which I can't believe the WWE doesn't give them health care. But.
Independent contractors, Rhino explained that.
Yeah, but he also explained they do have a lot of doctors that come check you out and stuff too. So there you go, the 3 minutes of wrestling. Oh, wait, before I forget. So last time on the podcast, I was telling you the big Royal Rumble started, and I told you the coolest thing about the Royal Rumble is they always bring some old guys.
Yeah.
They brought one guy back.
Oh, who was it?
Jeff Jarrett, of all people.
Did he bring out a guitar?
Yeah, there's a current guy called Elias, and his bit was with a guitar. Oh. So the two of them came out, and they kind of were dueling guitars or whatever, and then the Elias guy hit him in the head with it. But that was the only guy.
Yeah.
Oh, and Kurt Angle, but Kurt Angle's been around.
Kurt Angle's been around since Ronda Rousey and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's been in it for a while now. Yeah. So there was no surprise old guy. The rest of them were like those NXT guys. I don't even know half of them.
They're pushing that a lot. I know the NXT stuff.
Yeah, but I want to see some old cool guys come back. Where's like a Diesel shows up or something? No. I got Jeff Jarrett and 29 other bums. And so the Royal Rumble, big disappointment. Oh, and they brought a girl into the men's Royal Rumble at the end. And that went long. They didn't go over to midnight, that pay-per-view. And it started at 7.
Did you watch it live?
Yeah, after I left here, I went home and watched it. I didn't start till 8, and it was still 4 hours. So I was like, Jesus, it was a long one. What are your thoughts on that, Bill, in the Royal Rumble? Did you watch it, right?
It was long. Yeah, well, I missed about as much as you did. I missed like the first hour of it, and it still went another 3-4 hours after that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, they're trying to give you value, but sometimes, like, less is more. I hate to say it.
The women's Royal Rumble had no, cool entrances. There was no Trish Stratus or nothing. No.
Do they have let me ask you guys this real quick, too, before you get back to BVs. They have enough women on the roster to fill out a Royal Rumble?
There were more NXT girls. Yeah, they were bringing up a lot of them. So
between the 3 shows, but
anyway, your thoughts, BV? I'm sorry, go back.
No, it was long, and it was fine, but it's sort of like a bunch of their other pay-per-views. You see so much of the product that the pay-per-views don't have this. They don't have even WrestleMania. They don't carry the same weight they used to carry. It's a big event. It's a different match, but you see the same people feuding with the same people you see every week, and you've seen every combination of main, guys and women against each other.
Are you claiming saturation? Is that what you're saying right now? Are you saying you almost less is more on like the weekly stuff too? Is that?
Yeah. Well, for a great example of that was one of the main events was Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles. This is like the 5th time they've wrestled each other in just this month. So it's like, they got all these guys, but you got the same people. The only thing that was kind of unique was Lesnar versus Finn Balor. I haven't seen that, and it's only because Lesnar barely shows up. So his matches are unique because he's never there. But everybody else, like Ambrose and Rollins, you'll see them wrestle each other 20 times in a month. It's crazy.
Quick note: there is a rumor that AEW might throw a huge number at Lesnar to try to get him to come over.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
So let me and back to that XM show. What's the XM show that you were pimping? That you
Busted Open.
Busted Open. You guys like that? How often is that on? Is that a weekly thing? Or
it's on for 3 hours every morning every weekday morning.
Bubba Ray Dudley is one of the
Yeah.
guys.
Wow.
He's the
it
main
all pro
co-host,
wrestling?
but
Let me ask that.
he does a couple days
Some
a week.
MMA.
Then Mark Henry does it. So does Tommy Dreamer.
And now does this run the gamut of WWE to New Japan wrestling?
Yeah, they talk about everything.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
They talk
So
about
if you're
Ring of
into that,
Honor and all
definitely
that.
check
Because
that
Bubba Ray
out.
was in Ring of Honor after he retired from WWE for a little bit.
Wow. It's called Busted Open.
Busted Open.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty
I've
cool.
listened
Sounds
to it a
really
handful
cool.
of
It's on Fight Nation. I think it comes on at like 9 a.m.
I always see that on YouTube.
Eastern.
They have the highlights for the day on it. That's
okay.
where I catch it a lot.
That's
of times.
super
I don't
cool.
have access.
Sounds super cool if you're into it.
Yeah, Bill really likes it. And they have more people than just wrestlers on. You know, they have sometimes TV stars, stuff like that.
But it's still pretty cool, though. Yeah.
Whoever's friends of it. So there you go. There's a little longer than 3 minutes. But AEW, that's one thing. 2-hour show, not 3 hours. One show a week. That will make your pay-per-views kind of unique when they happen because we haven't seen it
To
72
BB's
times.
point. Yeah.
The 3-hour Raw and the 2-hour SmackDown, it's the same wrestling over.
You do a lot of rinse and repeat.
You know how many times I saw AJ Styles wrestle Samoa Joe? He wrestled Samoa Joe from August to about December 1st. And then he wrestled Daniel Bryan from December 1st till now.
Yeah.
It was
Because they
so-
wrestle on Raw
you know,
every week, and then on pay-per-view,
and then
3
in a
times
tag
in
team.
row,
And then, it's terrible. So anyways, there's some wrestling. Now we're going to go back to our old school rapid fire segment.
Yeah.
Where Bill will go, what to everything. And me and Charles go, we might see that. I don't know. As you all know the rules, we'll tell you the movie or the Blu Ray or the streaming. And you could tell us, if, yes, I want to see that. No, I don't. Or what the hell is that? So first up today, we're going to start Blu Rays first. This movie's called Widows. Now, what this was, Robert Duvall, Liam Neeson were in it. And they're kind of like a crooked gang. And they end up dying. And then their wives take over for them and become like a crooked gang, I guess is how it works. I don't know who's starring as the wives. I know Liam Neeson and Robert Duvall in it. It came out right in September. It must have been a dud. Didn't stay at the movies very long. Widows with Liam Neeson and Robert Duvall. I say yes because I always watch that crap. Charles, what do you say?
I'm a no. That sounds terrible.
And Bill, what is your thoughts?
No.
All right, there you go. The next one is animated with Captain Cumbersnatch. The Grinch. I will probably end up seeing this because I have a daughter, and she saw it already, so I'll probably have to see it twice. Yes, I'll probably see this, Charles.
I'm a yes because I saw it already with Lauren on that field trip. It's a very good movie. It's
And
better
Bill?
than the Jim Carrey one.
Would you see the animated
Yeah,
Grinch?
I watch the old school cartoon once a year, and that's all the Grinch I want or need. So no.
Now, this one is one in a series, The Girl in the Spider's Web.
Claire Foy.
Claire Foy. It's based on a book series. I've seen the other ones. I'll probably watch this one with Michelle because she'll want to see it. So, yes. Charles?
I'm a yes. It looked interesting. I definitely would check it out on Blu-ray.
And Bill?
I'm going to go with what, but probably no too.
Bill's not into this stuff. All right, and the last one. This one was a big budget Disney movie that totally flopped back right about Thanksgiving time. The Nutcracker, something realm. I don't know what it is.
The Four Realms.
The Four Realms. I'll probably watch it at home, so I'm a yes. Charles?
I'm a no. It looked like a turd in the theater, and it's going to be a turd on Blu-ray.
Yes, probably most likely. Bill, what do you think?
Is this a playoff like the Barishnikov Nutcracker? Or?
I believe
think so,
yeah.
And they made it kind of like a mix
hard
with
pass
Alice in
on that,
Wonderland.
no.
Hard pass? Morgan Freeman's in it. Did that make you want to see it?
Is that before or after he's sexually harassing women?
I don't know. New at the theaters. Now, I might have some of the dates a little mixed up on this one, but Miss Bala is with Rodriguez, that female Rodriguez.
Gina Rodriguez?
She's a...
Or Michelle Rodriguez?
Michelle. I think it's Michelle.
She's the tougher one?
I think
chick?
so.
Yeah.
She's a Hollywood...
It's Gina Rodriguez.
Oh, we were all wrong. Gina Rodriguez. Bill's right on that. She's like a Hollywood makeup artist or something, but she ends up getting tied into the drug cartel in Mexico somehow, and it looks like it's action-based. I'm not going to see this in the theater, so no from me. Charles?
It's a no. I didn't even know. Or it might even be a what. I didn't know what it was.
And Bill, what do you think?
Yeah, this is a remake of there was like a real popular one in Mexico.
I think so.
As a remake. Yeah, probably not. This...
You seem to
What
know
is
a
this,
lot
like
about
the
this
movie
one, yeah.
version of Queen of the South or something? I
Yeah,
mean,
it really does look like that.
yeah, no.
It looks like she starts off innocent and then like embraces the good drug. I don't know. There's been a lot of commercials for it.
We've
And usually
seen
during
that.
Raw. That's why me and Bill know. That's why me and Bill know this one's so good. The commercials are during Raw all the time. for
Brought
this
to you by
movie.
Miss Bala.
Yeah. Now the next one, everyone in the world already knows about this one. We saw the Lego Movie 2. Chris Pratt's back, and I forget her name, Amy Banks, or I always forget her name. The other girl, And Will Arnett is Batman. I'm going to see this because Holly, so it's a yes. Charles?
First one was great. It's a yes. Yeah.
And Bill, do you want to see Lego Movie 2?
I'll see it, but I'm not going to the theater for it. I'll catch it on HBO in about 6 months.
It might be 8 months.
I can wait.
Now, the next one, me and Charles are both kind of intrigued by, but
super intrigued, actually.
I don't know if I'm intrigued enough to see it at the theater. This is Alita Battle Angel. It's that new CG one.
Pushing it.
Girl's got big eyes. It looks very anime. Yeah. She's like robotish. It's got that German dude from the Bastards movie with I can't think of his name right now. Christoph Waltz. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna go no. I'll probably watch it on Blu Ray.
I'm gonna go with a yes. I think it does look very good, and it could be a good movie in 3D too.
Now here's the question. Does Bill know what we're talking about? Alita Battle Angel, Bill.
No, it's a definite what for me. I never heard of it until you just mentioned it. So
now this one it seems like the remake of the Mel Gibson movie where he could hear women thinking.
This is Taraji P. Henson.
This is Taraji P. Henson. What men want. It's the same thing. She gets hit on the head and wakes up, and all of a sudden she could hear what men are thinking. Tracy Morgan's in this. Shaq's in this. I'll probably catch it on HBO. I'm not going to the movies. I'm a no.
No, I can't stand Taraji P. Henson.
Really? You have hate for Taraji P. Henson?
She's overacts everything she's in. She's just too much. No.
I never gave her 2 seconds thought. Is she the one from Empire?
Yes.
Okay. Bill, what do you think? What men want?
You know, when I first saw the trailer, I thought this looks really funny. And I was considering going to the theater, but the more I think about it, it's probably, the minute trailer is probably 80% of everything funny in it. So I'll just catch it on HBO.
Yeah, my thoughts too. I'll catch it on TNT someday. All right, so that's new in the movies. Got some ones coming up later next week. For streaming, now this one looks very interesting. It's on Amazon. It's called Generation Wealth. It's a documentary about how we're all obsessed with like Kardashians and celebrities and stuff like that. Looks very interesting. Or Gucci. Gucci's hot fire. So I'm going to say yes. I want to see that. Charles, what do you think?
I'm interested. I don't have Amazon Prime anymore, but I would watch it. It sounds interesting.
And Bill, what do you think?
Oh, I never would have heard of it, but I'll probably watch it now. It does sound kind of interesting.
Yeah, it looked pretty good, and it just shows us how we're all dumb and we all obsess over rich people. And so the next one, The Russian Doll. Now this is kind of like a mixture of My Death Day and Groundhog's Day, where the girl relives her life.
Series or movie? I saw this on the Netflix.
I think it's a movie.
Okay.
I think it's a movie.
Yeah, it's a movie.
She dies over and over again in the day, and then it's some party she goes to and dies at the end of the night.
Tomorrow Never Ends or whatever.
Yeah, so there's a ton of movies like this. I'm good on it. Netflix track record for movies is crap. No for me. Russian Doll, Charles.
Watch Polar, not this. I say no.
And Bill, what do you think? No for Bill. Won't You Be My Neighbor?
This looks awesome.
This is a documentary about Mr. Rogers.
And it also did really good in awards season and all this kind of stuff. There's two. So Tom Hanks is starring in a Mr. Rogers movie, but this is a documentary about who he was and how he actually was a real good person in real life in Pittsburgh, and looks fantastic.
I want to see this. It looks good.
It's never in at Family Video. Never.
Well, you can see it on Netflix now. Netflix is becoming the home of documentaries and stand-up comedy.
Yeah. So two things I'm totally into.
The only two things worth watching on Netflix, besides Slobby's World. I'm a yes for Mr. Rogers. So.
Huge yes from me. I've been waiting to see this. So yeah,
I didn't know you had such
limited release too. You couldn't find. Heather and I have been talking about this when it first came out. The trailer looks amazing. It's just yes.
And Bill, Will You Be My Neighbor?
I didn't watch Mr. Rogers when I was a kid. I'm not going to watch a documentary on him now. No.
But you don't realize how many barriers this guy broke and stuff like that. It's super amazing. I'm so into this. Yeah.
So there you go. There's the rapid fire.
Hidden Figures, a documentary or something? Or?
I don't know what Hidden Figures is.
It's a movie about the black girls that help NASA.
Oh yeah, it's kind of
Jim Parsons.
He would bring on and discuss with people of color well before and all. It's just.
Mr. Rogers in the military
was a legit
also?
dude. Yeah, legit dude, man. And then the big push on this documentary was a lot of the footage was some guy that was trying to be out there to disprove that Mr. Rogers really was this pure and good guy, and he couldn't do it. I think that's also the premise of the Tom Hanks movie. I'm way into it. It looks really good.
Yeah, I didn't know you were so into
Super
Mr.
happy
Rogers.
that it's coming to Netflix. Yeah.
I do want to see it. I'm very interested, so I will definitely watch that. Bill, don't give two damns about Mr. Rogers. I wonder, did he die rich, or was he kind of just average money? I wonder how much PBS paid him through all those years.
It's like Pittsburgh PBS, too. It's not
it
like
can't be that
mainstream
great.
PBS.
I wonder. Even though they put broadcast
I don't think he was
nationwide.
into it either. I think he's one of these like really super like kind dudes. It was like, listen, I don't need a boatload of money.
Just enough to do my thing.
Yeah, crazy.
And now they're making movies after him. So there you go. Now, we do have a couple of reviews, not too many, just two. Recently, I just purchased, because I couldn't resist it any longer, I was trying to.
Great games, man.
New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe.
This is the Wii U game ported to the Switch.
Yeah, and they've added 2 new characters to it. They've also, well, it's 2 games ported, technically. The Wii U made a Luigi version and a Mario version. It's got both of them in it, so they're both in it. So you're getting 2 games and 2 new characters. Little cheap of them to charge you $60 for it when it's a remake. You know, could have
repackaged.
I know it's the Nintendo tax I'm paying. It could have been $40. But I will say, when it comes to platformers, Mario Brother is the granddaddy of them all. No one comes close. The controls are nice. They're fun. They're weird little characters. New power ups with the ice. Of course,
I was thinking about
things.
that. The Wii version had that same power up. That's not exclusive to that. Yeah.
Did they have the flying squirrel suit?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And
So
the
there's nothing new in this game whatsoever.
But there's still there's more of what you love. So,
yeah, it's 100-something stages, a lot of different characters. Switch, I highly recommend. If you're into Mario. Now, if you're not into the kiddie Mario stuff, then, you know, if you're just Madden and Call of Duty, bro, it's not for you. That's all there is to it.
If you like a great platformer, the Nintendo platforming games are still the top-notch stuff. Yeah.
And I will say you can play 2-player on the same stage, even though that's insane, and you plummet to your death every 5 seconds. But it's a fun game, well worth it. Probably get it an 8 out of 10. See, I didn't own the Wii U, so I didn't have. Now, if I owned a Wii U and I played it on Wii U, I wouldn't buy it on the Switch. It'd be pointless. But since I've never played it, it's a good game.
Yeah.
So there you go. Now, Charles, since, unfortunately, the passing of Magoo.
Magoo's no longer with us.
But you have a new creature running around the house.
So
tell us what it is.
I could never get one of these when I had a dog, because if this thing just started up when Magoo was home, or even when the Weeno was here, he'd have lost his mind. So I was able to finally get an Irobot Roomba. I got an iRobot 985. I bought it from Costco because Wiggs and Joe turned me on to Costco years ago, and I can't stop buying everything in Costco. It cost me just shy of $600. It's like $580 or something like that. This thing is awesome. I mean, it goes around. The only thing that's crazy about it is, and Heather and I joke, he's aggressive. I mean, there's little areas, so like in Lorna's room, you got to make sure like everything, like doll's hair and stuff, he'll suck up everything. I mean, this thing just goes.
I like how you talk to it like it's real. He'll do this.
Yeah, he's
that.
amazing. Yeah, so far with having it all this week, there's a big time learning curve attached to having one of these Roombas if you've never had one before. So you got to kind of, like, it loves the wires under my desk and just everything. You got to kind of pin that stuff up, or else he'll just suck it up, man. He doesn't care. He goes into Lorna's room and pushes through these bean bags and found a My Little Pony's hair and sucked it up. I mean, he's just, at one point he sucked up the bath mat. He's aggressive. He's really aggressive.
How powerful is the vacuum on this
Great.
thing?
I mean, it goes
if it's
through.
sucking up bath mats, it's got to be pretty strong.
It's got 2 levels. So this 985, you'll hear it kind of ramp. So as it's on my hardwoods, it's kind of just a low hum. But then when it goes onto like a rug, you'll hear it ramp up even higher. So it's got like that crazy suction power to it. It's fun to watch this guy just kind of motor around the house. It's so futuristic. It's so me. It's something I've wanted for years, but I've always respected having dogs. And now that we're no longer dog owners, it's great. I highly recommend it.
How often do you have to empty it?
It's got a pretty small bin, so we've been kind of emptying ours on a regular basis, like a daily. We just kind of grab its bin. It's not a big deal. You just flip it open and kind of dump it out, and stuff like that. It's not a big task, but you can't get it if you have a dog. I mean, this thing is loud. It's a vacuum when it starts. You could never, like BV could never have it. Pudge would destroy this thing.
We have a Roomba.
Do you really? And he leaves it
alone? Yeah, we've had it for a couple of years. We have the one that's for
$5
he
doesn't use it.
Hair.
It just sits in the corner.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and Pudge leaves it alone, or Pudge attack it?
She'll bark at it, and then we'll get her she'll eventually just jump up on the couch and let it run.
Oh, okay. So she'll
go nuts for a minute or so, and then she's all right.
Yeah, is yours really aggressive, BV?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
runs
they
into
go.
stuff, and
it's not like a gentle
we've had
nudge
to pull
too.
Parts of it apart a few times and unclog it and get it back in. And,
yeah, it's pretty crazy, but Yeah, they're neat pieces of tech. Do you have the Wi-Fi version too, BB, where you can so I can launch it through Alexa and stuff like that? Like it's
I don't think so.
It also has a really nice app, the Irobot app that it comes with. It'll actually give you the map of how much of in your house it actually took care of. It'll show you how many square feet it vacuumed and stuff. I'm a big proponent. I like
how often does it launch? Does it do it on itself, or you got to tell it?
Schedule.
Oh, you schedule it,
or like I said, I could start it right now just by telling Alexa to have Roomba start cleaning. Yeah, so
it'll map out. It'll map out your house.
Yeah,
so that it'll start to know what pattern to go in, and so once you use it a few times, it knows exactly where to go to cover everything.
It has stair detection, so it knows not to fall off a cliff and all that kind of stuff too. The only thing, like I said, he's just aggressive, man. He's aggressive. Goes underneath the bed. If I took him to my upstairs and let him go on the carpet, he goes like he couldn't get under it first. He backs up and rams himself under the bed. It's crazy. Yeah, so I'm big fan of the old Roombas, man. So far,
the question is though, did you get a Bluetooth speaker, put it on there, and play music? So
DJ Roomba.
So you have DJ Roomba?
No, not yet. Not
oh,
yet.
You don't have DJ Roomba?
No, that's only for Tom Halvard.
Oh, you got to get DJ Roomba. So there you go. Play some Mario and watch your Roomba run around the house. Apparently, Pudge don't mind it, but other dogs go crazy
I'm impressed
about
that
it.
Pudge chills out with it.
Yeah, so
Magoo would have lost his marbles.
So in the news today, Bill, I got some very sad news for you, Bill. You're going to be depressed. I'm sorry to tell you this, but Fuller House, it's coming to an end.
I'm a little shocked by this, honestly. It seems like people were watching that crappy show.
I think it started off real hot and then declined as it went on. I think only Holly stayed true. It's like Raw. It was real hot in the 90s, and now it's kind of just tapering off.
I was like, wow.
So,
but then again, Netflix doesn't release how many people watch stuff, so you don't even know. They could have wrote it out just to prove a point.
What do you think, Bill? Are you depressed that Fuller House is canceled?
Yeah, a little bit. I'll get over it with time. Yeah, I heard about this on the news this morning.
Yeah, and you were like, football's over. I'm about to chill some Fuller House, and now you can't.
No, I haven't watched the first 4 seasons or anything, but
oh my God, Holly is offended
still
right now. Well, I guess the 5th season comes out in the fall, and that'll be its 5th and final season. So.
Oh, is that what it is? So they got 5th in the tank, and they're going to release it in the fall.
Now, surprisingly, they have not announced the cancellation of The Punisher yet, so I'm wondering what's going on there. It's been a month or so. Usually that's what they did with Daredevil and all them. So what is this that Lowe's is doing now, Charles?
So I'm a big home automation thing, as I was just talking about with the iRobot. I have Samsung Smart Things. It was Smart Things, and then Samsung came along and bought it out. That's technically what uses what's called a Z-Wave protocol. So that's the wireless that they all allows these switches and light bulbs to communicate. So Lowe's had its own version called the Iris. And Iris was a Lowe's-specific Z-Wave home automation setup that they had a big kiosk inside of Lowe's. Well, the bummer part to me is, so on March 31st, they're just shutting it down. So what it goes to show you is, a lot of this stuff is not here to stay. You know what I mean? So imagine I feel bad because imagine you're someone who bought all this Iris stuff, and now you have to then turn around and migrate all the Z-Wave equipment to Smart Things. So if I went and invested into Iris, I would now have to get into the SmartWave ecosystem.
It's like when you had HD DVD and then Blu Ray one.
Yeah, that's just tough, man.
It comes with the territory.
It's one of those things where it's this technology stuff, man. You wonder why people don't adopt it. You see enough of this in your lifetime. You're like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, I spent all this money for these smart bulbs, and now Philips don't make them.
It's pretty crazy.
Really suck.
So imagine you had all this money into this infrastructure, and they're just like, oh, well, March 31st, we're shutting the servers down. Oh, okay, screw me. You know what I mean? So they're doing that. So Lowe's on March 31st is shutting down the Iris network. The nice part is, at least in the Iris stuff, you can take those Z-Wave things and bring them over to Smart Things.
But you know they won't work right.
I've had a lot of issues trying to use any Iris stuff on my Smart Things.
Now, what is Iris? Now, please, for us that don't know, what does Iris stuff do exactly?
It's home automation stuff. So Iris,
is it a thermostat? Is it
it's
bulbs?
all that stuff. It's all that stuff. It's all light switches and outlets and all that kind of stuff. Just like I have Smart Things, and they have door sensors and all that kind of stuff. And they used what's called Z-Wave. Is imagine that's the Wi-Fi protocol they use to allow it to all talk and communicate. So that's a standard, but Iris was the head end to it, okay? So they're basically shutting that head end down, and now you have to go and you got to basically take all your Iris stuff and try to get it to work with SmartThings or some other Z-Wave technology. And just like you just said, that never works easily.
Yeah.
Dude, I feel bad for anyone who invested heavily in the Iris stuff, and now you're scrambling to get it onto a SmartThings, and then you got to migrate all your sensors and all that kind of stuff because basically they're going to pull the internet plug on it. It's tough, dude. It sucks. And they could do that to me at any point. Samsung could shut down SmartThings. Google could shut down Nest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's not cool at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the gamble you take with technology, especially if you're an early adapter.
Yeah.
It really does blow sometimes when you invest all this money and time, especially time. Time it takes some of this home. It's all cool when it works and it's great.
Right.
But
I've got a lot of time in SmartThings.
But people don't always mention, like, Charles spends the whole Monday messing with things. I did that whole weekend with my bulbs. The Hue light bulbs took me forever to get. And then I got an update that wiped half my settings out, so that annoyed me even more. And then you have it set to one phone, but then, hey, say, well, you get a new phone, you got to transfer it all over.
I have to buy button batteries in bulk to keep, like, I go on to, like, eBay, like those 2450 little round circle button batteries that go into these sensors and all this kind of stuff. Because you have to, like, they use battery power and all that. There's a ton of stuff to this home automation stuff that a lot of people don't talk about. Yeah. Like, I can bring you over here, Steve, like, look how cool this is.
Yeah, but you spent 36 hours working on it.
There's a ton of work that goes into it.
So, Bill, are you sold on home automation? Are you ready to get some light bulbs and stuff?
We have a few.
What do you use for your assistant? What is your home assistant? Do you have a Google Home or you have an Alexa?
No, we have the. I just call it Alexa. Yeah, we have a Amazon Echo and
sure.
Yeah, like the light bulbs we have are Philips.
Yeah, so he's got a Hue system at his house.
Yeah.
So, like, imagine
those bulbs are expensive too.
Yeah, because you got to get the hub, and then you got to connect the hub to Alexa, and it's.
I would have, if I'd have known ahead of time, I would have just got the light switches.
What do you mean?
Like, in my house, I have two fans on light switches, and then in my bedroom, I have a light switch that controls my light, a Wi-Fi light switch. So I can just say, "Okay, Google, turn off light." In my kitchen, I bought all those expensive-ass Philips Hue lights where I could just put a light switch in and connect it to the Wi-Fi, which was like half the price.
And learn on a lot of that stuff. Yeah, it's
so once those bulbs die in the kitchen, I'm just going to go buy light switches. It'd be a lot cheaper. Yeah, I'll tell you that much.
And so when I tell a lot of people, what you see in my house was done in stages. So I was talking to a guy at work who's he's interested. He's always talking to me about it. I told him, like, you can't do all this at once. You just can't go in and put all your light switches in.
Yeah, it cost you $1,000.
And not even that. It would drive you insane because only half the stuff would work, and it would just There's a lot of things with, like, naming things certain ways, and just there's a lot
certain
of, like,
keywords you can't use when you're naming it, or then it won't work.
And now imagine you go through and do all that, and then Amazon goes, you know what? We're just not into home automation anymore.
Yeah. Well, the one that probably do it would be Google. You know, Google gets into things and I'm not in the mood anymore.
Yeah,
and Google does that a lot and drives me crazy.
Google Plus, like you and BV were talking about.
Yeah. So there you go, a little home automation look at it. Maybe one day we'll actually have a podcast where Charles just goes over all the home automation, bore everyone to tears. So
that'd be pretty interesting
for the three of us, nobody else.
We had this idea that we were going to do all kinds of things with the house, connected to the door locks or anything else, and that just didn't really happen. We got the first couple things, and then
let me tell you what one of the things that drives me, and let me go on just a real quick tangent because I know people are glazing over. I have those Schlage Connect locks. They chew through batteries. I've never seen.
See, I asked you that. What happens when they go dead?
Oh my! Well, so I've got a set of 12 rechargeable batteries. I've got 24. I've got a set in and a set charging. So like literally like every 9 days, I've got to pull the batteries out and swap to.
Oh my god, that is annoying! I'll just use a key.
Super annoying. They chew, and I think that's because I'm using them to like communicate with Alexa. I'm using them too much. And then another thing that's crazy too. Alexa will not natively allow you to control the locks. Because why is that? Jeff Bezos doesn't want to have some story come out where someone just walked by someone's house and told Alexa to open the door locks.
So what are you using, a workaround?
You got to use a workaround with if this, then that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's a whole thing, Bill, that if, then, what is it?
if this, then that.
Yeah, it's a website, and it's got all these different commands. You got to. It turns into algebra when you're trying to figure out some of this stuff.
And that's what I said. You just can't do it all at once. You just can't. It's crazy.
So that's it for the news. There's a little home automation, Fuller House, depressing bill that it's going over. Now, my rant for the day, and this ties back to the Super Bowl, all the controversy around the halftime. I don't know if you heard a lot about it. A lot of the, I don't know what you call it, African-American acts were protesting and wouldn't do the halftime because of it. So Maroon 5 came in. Now, this was such a controversy that even in Radio Row, they wouldn't allow Maroon 5 to be interviewed. Did you hear about this?
To say the wrong thing.
Yeah, so they put them on radio silence over a stupid halftime Pepsi thing. So, and the number one person, Cardi B, she's really hot. All the teenage kids know her. Oh, Cardi B. She went on, on Instagram and stuff like that. I'm boycotting the Super Bowl. I hate the Super Bowl. Who shows up at a Pepsi ad immediately in the Super Bowl? Kind of hypocritical is all I'm saying. I thought we were past all the controversy. Apparently not. It's still not past it all, but I just thought that was interesting that they wouldn't even let Maroon 5 talk to the press because of all the stupidity and all the different controversy. And then Cardi B being a hypocrite saying, oh, I'm boycotting the Super Bowl, and one of the first Pepsi commercials as they're sitting there. So a little bit, she'll take that check. But you know what? I'm not going to watch that Super Bowl. So a little bit of thoughts there on that one. That's going to do us for this week. I'd like to thank our guest, BV, our resident other wrestling expert.
Yeah. Now, you guys talked about you wanted to do, in April, you want to do a big WrestleMania.
Yeah, probably the Saturday before WrestleMania. We're going to get the three wrestling dorks on, Bill, myself, and Gabe. And maybe even get Tyler in here again. We could all talk about wrestling, see what our expectations for WrestleMania, and how it'll come nowhere close.
And then now, by then, you guys are going to have more details on the secondary league that we've been discussing the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, it'll be getting a little closer by then. I don't know the dates exactly of what WrestleMania is. Usually somewhere in the beginning of April, end of March is WrestleMania. It was April 8th last year, so I imagine it's right around there. And then, that new league's supposed to have some kind of thing going around then, too. So we'll have a lot to talk about there. So it should be fun. Also might have in a couple of weeks a friend of mine come in, give us an inner look at the Motor City Casino and how that works. Okay. So that should be fun, too. And of course, we'd like to thank Bill and then my co-host, Charles, and then myself. I'm going to thank myself again because that's what I do. Catch us on Apple, iTunes.
Ricky Henderson over here.
Google Play and everywhere you can get podcasts at, and on the new app Charles told you about today,
Pocket Cast.
Pocket Cast. We're on there as well. Until next time, this is Steve and Charles saying catch you later.